Hello everyone, my name is Dimitri and today we are playing Hollow Knight. Well, this is more like an extra episode. I'm going to take this episode to essentially go over all the journal stuff that we've inquired. So we're going to start at the very top and work our way down. And this is just, so as you can see, I encountered 112 enemies, characters, you could say, out of 147, and I completed 90 of them. So, for those of you who don't know, the way to fully complete each entry is you have to first encounter the specific type of enemy. You have to, I believe, defeat them first, and then you gotta defeat them a number of times to fully complete the entry. So, we're gonna start with the creatures we see in, I believe, Forgotten Crossroads, and then work our way down. So, we first got the Crawlid, a timid scavenger that crawls through the caverns looking for food. Dull and pathetic, hardly worth killing. The Vengefly, flying predator that pursues its prey relentlessly. This fierce little hunter will bravely chase down creatures many times its size. Admirable. It is weak though, and I have devoured hundreds of them with little effort or care. Yeah. And then the evolved version, I suppose. The Vengefly King, patriarch of a Vengefly colony, swoops at intruders and cries out for reinforcements if threatened. The Gruzzer, simple-minded creature that haphazardly buzzes around, bumping into things. They only seem dimly aware of their surroundings, making them easy prey to cut your fangs on. What is it that guides them on their paths? It almost seems they search for ways to die. The Gruz Mother, a mature Gruzzer that carries its young in its belly, attacks by hurling its huge body around. And we need to defeat two more, which I believe this was a bit of a, a mini-boss. And I don't know, I guess we never encountered the other versions of this. The Tick-Tick uses its small, sharp claws to climb along walls and roofs. Spends its time tapping its way through the rows and caverns near the surface of this kingdom. If you're patient, you can wait for it to come to you and pick it off. Aspid Hunter bests its prey by spitting corrosive liquid, often hunts in packs. It's interesting how corrosive liquid is the same liquid we've been encountering throughout the entire game, and we ultimately had to deal with when it came to not only Hollow Knight, but also the Lost Kin, I believe. Cunning predators that will try to pick you off from a distance. Don't give them space, just charge in and cut them down. You'll find they're not so cunning once they are dead. Aspid Mother carries the eggs of its young inside the belly, has been giving me troubles from time to time, can hatch and birth its young as needed to deal with its intruders. Shamelessly uses its own young as a weapon against its foes. Appalling, yes, but I do admire its resourcefulness. Good hunters do not always make good parents, I suppose. Aspid Hatchling. Recently birthed, these young aspid instinctively swarm around intruders. These hatchlings are born with an instinct to kill. They are still only infants though, and you can crush them between your fangs without thinking. Just don't let them overwhelm you with numbers. Gome. Thickly armored, it bursts from the ground to seize prey in its fangs. And I think we found the corpse of this, and that's how we got its entry. These brutes seem to be impervious to most damage, so you can sharpen your weapons on their thick hide, or just slash away at them for your own amusement. They barely seem to notice. Wandering Husk, the remains of a bug animated by a strange force, probably from the corrosive liquid, wanders the roads where it once lived. These civilized... I don't think civilized is spelled correctly. Bugs of Hollownest were weak in life, and now they are equally weak in death. Send them back into the dirt they were born in. So these are essentially hollows. Zombies, I suppose. Husk Hornhead. The remains of a bug animated by a strange force uses its horn to attack any uninfected creature it finds. These bugs have an arrogant air about them, even after dying, overly proud of their long horns. I enjoy snapping them off. Dang, Hunter. Leaping Husk. The remains of a bug animated by a strange force. It will instinctively leap at uninfected creatures to attack them. The bug of an old holonist did not hunt their own food. They had it brought to them. That's why they were so weak. That's why their kingdom crumbled into dust and faded away. I suppose that's one way to think of it. Husk Bully. The remains of a bug animated by a strange force. It aggressively attacks any uninfected creature it finds. A thick orange mist fills these walking corpses. It has a sweet, sickly taste to it. I find it foul. After you kill these creatures, I suggest you do not eat them. Okay, same one. Wields a nail and shell. Softened by generations of luxury. These bugs lack claws or armor or venom. Those who wish to protect themselves are forced to fashion weapons from stone, ore, or shell. The Husk Guard. The remains of a great hollowness crossguard, animated by a strange force. Instinct will still drives it to guard its post against intruders. Dang, we just needed one more to get its full entry. Entombed Husk. I don't remember where we saw these. Mummified remains, deformed and enraged by infection. False Knight. Our first boss, I believe. A maggot driven mad by a strange force inhabits a stolen armored shell. Stolen? Interesting. Okay. Weak creatures love to steal the strength of others. Actually, that makes sense because there was like... Yeah. Okay, I remember seeing its actual form. Their lives are brief and fearful, and they yearn to have the power to dominate those who have dominated them. Okay. Life Seed. We didn't see these all too often. A small scuttling seed filled with lifeblood, which can be extracted and consumed for its healthful properties. Balder. Rolls into a ball and propels itself at intruders who wander into its territory. Aggressive even when newly born. Younger hunter delights in catching these creatures and rolling them around for sport. I encourage you to indulge yourself if the fancy strikes you. The Elder Balder, bulky and covered in thick plating, retracts into itself when attacked. As they age, these creatures become too heavy and lumpy to roll around freely. Instead, they curl up and hide from the world. What do they think of it? What do they think of in there? Wrapped up inside of themselves? More carefree time, perhaps. Moss Creep, getting into greenish territory. Weakling that covers itself in leaves to appear larger. Hides amongst the undergrowth. I used to think these things were merely ambling plants. When I learned they were actually living creatures, I began to kill them on sight. This is the nature of the hunt. Mossfly. Winged weakling that covers itself in leaves to appear larger. Hides among the undergrowth, fleeing if predators draw near. They spend their whole lives hiding or fleeing. How sad. Or perhaps that is the life they choose for themselves and they enjoy it? It's a strange thought, but not impossible. Nothing wrong with that. Mosskin. I was surprised I didn't get this full entry. A plant-like bug that charges at foes when close. Volatile Mosskin. Plant-like bug swollen with infection. Releases deadly gas when threatened. The gas that seeps from their growth smells invitingly sweet, but it will burn through the shell and flesh if you get too close. Fool Eater. Oh yes, these things. Carnivorous plant that snaps at any creature that comes close. You really would have to be a fool to be tricked by a plant. I suppose, I guess. A squid charges at prey with needle-like proboscis? I don't know how to pronounce that word. When they lunge at you, don't panic. Stand your ground and strike back as they come close. Obble. Fat, slow, flying bug. Frequently discharges the acidic liquid stored in its round belly. Does it realize what a nuisance it is? drifting around, spilling its noxious juices everywhere it goes. If you see any, make sure to kill them. Golka. Aggressive plant life that retracts protectively when danger is near. Spits hard spiky balls when foes are at a distance. Its leaves are dry and bland. The bud is unpleasantly sour, but oh, the venom in those balls it spits, exquisite. If you have the time to spare, try drinking some and enjoy the effects. Hunter is an interesting character, and I love how we're getting a little insight into who they are through these entries. Masked Fly. Harmless flying creature that favors serene environments, usually travels in flocks. Moss Charger. Timid creature that frightens away intruders by covering itself in huge clumps of moss. It's small, but it finds a lot of courage and strength once it covers itself in foliage. And I can understand the desire to camouflage oneself. Oh, the massive version. Family of creatures that have learned to bulk up with moss and live as one. There is strength in numbers, yes, but these creatures never had strength to begin with, cutting through their trickery. Moss Knight, protector of the green path, trained in the ways of the nail and shell. Mossy Vagabond, lazy, partly mosskin, easily swayed by others, slow, fat, and easily vanquished. Common threads in those who forget their calling and forsake their duties. Durando, simply walking creatures encased in a hard shell, often found wading in shallow pools of acidic water. Duranda, simple flying creature protected by a spiky shell. Aluba, passive glider that prefers to dwell near acidic waters. What careless a life led drifting above us all. If one ever comes too close to the ground, though. Charged Lumafly. Oh, these things. When threatened, they cluster together, generating electricity. They usually drift about peacefully, but sometimes they cluster together and spit out a sharp, crackling flash that will stun and burn even large beasts like myself. Watch closely for an opening and move past them quickly. You can't kill them, but you can move past them. Uoma, smallest jelly form. Passive and unaware, but pulsing with a dangerous electric charge. The spirit of a dead ancestor? The brain of a larger creature, allowed to drift free? An egg searching for a safe place to spawn? I have no idea what this is. Uma, passive outer being, protecting an aggressive, explosive core. Explosive indeed. Ghastly, eerie creature made out of thick liquid. You can peer right through them and can't see where they keep their thoughts. I don't trust them at all. Keep away. Thanks, Spiderlings, for, killing them when you had the time and endangering my life. Umu, intelligent being that guards the inner chamber of the teacher's archives. The canyon below us, the one thickened with fog and crackling with strange energy. A hunter can lose their senses down there. Be careful. Strange and unnatural things lurk there. Ambloom, simple-minded crawling fungus. Its cap is covered in a layer of hardened spikes. Lie on your belly, open your maw, and let this tasty morsel stroll straight into your stomach. Dang. And we're getting into fungal waste, it seems. Fungling, passive fungal balloon. Internal gases cause it to float. These were cute little fellas. Just a child, it drifts about with closed eyes and an open mind. When I was young, my brothers and sisters, siblings, and I would hunt each other in the nest. Now I hunt alone. Would hunt each other? Wait. So, is the hunter one of these things? Or are they just on a tangent? I can't really tell. Fungoon. Fully grown fungal balloon spits built-up internal gas at aggressors. So round. I don't think I've seen a rounder creature than this. This world certainly hides some marvelous creatures. I must hunt them all down. Okay, so that tells you that... okay, so the hunter is not any of these, which makes sense. Spore. Oh, these things. Detects nearby movement and fires out explosive spores that drip towards their target. I only needed to kill one more of these things to get the full entry. Fungified husk. And there's two versions of them. The remains of a bug consumed by a fungus frequently releases clouds of thick, deadly gas. The bugs of Hallownest are so pathetic that being infected by poisonous fungi actually increases their chances of survival. They really are absurd creatures. Shroomeling. Oh, these cute things. A young fungal creature spends most of its time in the ground, but can uproot and flee if it senses danger. Looks like an ordinary mushroom until you get close, then it pops out of the ground and starts scurrying around blindly. Very, very amusing. Shroomel Warrior. I love these fellas. Fungal creatures that attack intruders to protect its young. Oh, must be referring to these things. The Shroomel Ogre, the Headbang Boys. Huge fungal creature, attacks by spitting corrosive venom and slamming its body into foes. Are these hulking things beasts or are they mushrooms? I cut one in half and peered inside to find out, but could find no answers in its soft, stinking insides. Mantis Youth. Member of a proud tribe, fiercely protective of its territory, launches stinging attacks with its needle-sharp abdomen. As it grows, it loses the ability to fly. Passage into adulthood is often celebrated, but as time goes by, we realize what we have lost. This is a commentary on childhood and adulthood and the progression. Mantis Warrior, member of a proud tribe, fiercely protective of its territory, launches savage attacks with its blade forelimbs. If you venture too deep into the fungal forest, these warriors will stand in your way. What is it they guard deep at the bottom of their territory? Mantis Lords, leaders of the Mantis tribe and its finest warriors. This was a fun fight. They bear thin nail lances and attack when with blinded speed. The Mantis tribe and the bugs of old Hallownest had no love for each other. The Mantises outlived their rivals though, and their civilization still stands. Sure does. Husk Sentry. Okay, so we're in City of Tears. Animated remains of a Hallownest sentry still retains some memory of its former task. More skilled at combat than most bugs of Hallownest. They are nimble but lightly armored. Keep the pressure on them. Heavy Sentry. Animated remains of a large Hallownest sentry. One of a few in Hallownest strong enough to wield a great nail. Surprisingly quick-witted for a corpse. It will try to catch you if you leap over it and cause you... And I am having a hard time. It will try to catch you if you leap over it and can chase you if you flee. Enjoyable to hunt, but beware them in packs. Winged Sentry. Flying sentry in Hallownest patrols the heights of the vast cavern in which the city was built. Dances through the air just out of reach until it spots an opening, then swoops in for a decisive strike. If you're confident, wait for it to come to you, then counterattack. And then the Lance Sentry. Winged Sentry of Hallownest equipped with a nail lance. Charges at threats or throws its lance from a distance. This devious foe will often keep its distance and try to pick you off with its thrown weapons. When it charges you, leap up and strike down. Mistake. Oh gosh. That's a morbid name to give this thing. Once a highly intelligent bug deformed by the misuse of soul. Yeah, soul is another thing we have to keep in mind about this game. So there's the corrosive liquid, the acid, whatever, and then there's the soul, which is interesting. Very interesting. These fools meddled with the soul of other creatures and lost their shape. Now they skulk through the shadows of their sanctum like slugs, hoping their old brothers will build them new bodies. Folly. Once a highly intelligent bug inflated by misuse of soul. I've heard whispers that the secret these fools were searching for was immortality, to live forever. I've never heard of anything so obscene. Soul Twister. Highly intelligent bug that uses arcane knowledge to twist soul into vicious spells. Soul Warrior. Learned bug wielding a refined pin blade. enhances its combat prowess with harvested soul. Where these strange warriors go, whispers follow them. Not only are they skilled with the nail, they can also use some strange power to shift suddenly from place to place. Stay on guard. Soul Master, probably one of my favorite boss fights. Head of the Soul Sanctum. Hoarded soul hoping to stave off Hollowness affliction. Okay, so this is very... okay, yeah. Very in line with what I've seen in Dark Souls. But eventually became intoxicated by its power. So they were trying to use soul to... So the corrosive liquid was infecting Hollowness. And the Soul Master was trying to use soul, the power of the soul, to fight against the corruption, but ultimately became corrupted by the soul itself. How ironic. The bugs of Hollowness tried all kinds of tricks and rituals and prayers to rid themselves of the infection, but to no avail. Perhaps the infection came from somewhere deep inside of them, and they could not escape. Husk Dandy, former member of Hollowness High Society. Limited offensive ability. It seems the weakest, greediest members of Hollowness were also the ones who exerted the most influence. Truly a kingdom that was always destined for ruin. Cowardly Husk, former member of Hollowness High Society, although made aggressive by the force inside, old instincts still occasionally compel it to run from danger. The fearful, cowardly nature of these Hollowness bugs persists even after death. It almost feels shameful to chase and cut them down. Gluttonous Husk, former member of Hollowness High Society, uses its corpulent body as a weapon. As these bugs became wealthier, they hunted less and consumed more, eventually taking on a grotesque shape not unlike other overripe fruit. Great Husk Sentry. Animated remains of a great sentry, the most elite of the city guards, wields a great nail and shell. Its powerful attacks cause heavy damage. An extremely rare thing, a bug of a Hollowness that actually poses a threat. Watch them carefully as they can lash out quickly with devastating strikes. Watcher Knight. Discarded shell of a Watcher Knight, reanimated by a swarm of infected flies. A swarm of infected flies. Interesting. When these silent warriors fall in battle, their bodies split open and strange bugs come flying out. I wonder, what will come flying out of me when I die? Will my hopes and fears drift away into darkness? The Bellfly. Oh, the bats. Thin wings hide a highly volatile belly. Will give its own life to protect its territory. Interesting. An angry creature with no regard for its own life, a creature without fear. Can it truly be called prey? Pill flip. So we're getting into the waterways. I forget what the actual name of the place. Odd creature that adapts to changing situations by flipping over and using the limbs on the other side of its body. Adaptability is an important survival skill. If a problem seems insurmountable, try approaching it from a different angle. Hurrup! Tiny and placid, but swells to enormous size when threatened. Extremely amusing creature. Kind of sad, too. I didn't like the sounds it made. Blug Sack. Placid but putrid creature. Holds rancid eggs within its gut. Easily tracked down if you have a sense of smell. I strongly suggest you do not eat its eggs. Oh, the Dung Defender. Very fun character. A skilled combatant living at the heart of the waterways. Assails intruders with balls of compacted dung. Fighting for honor or for loyalty. You may as well be fighting for dust. If you want to kill, do it for your own sake. That is the nature of a true hunter. Fluke Fey. Youngest of its species, its body is composed of teeth, wings, and stomach. Seems to want to latch onto any living thing that comes by with its sharp little teeth. It will leave its cousins alone though, so it isn't completely mindless. Flukemon. This is a Digimon? A worm-like creature that prefers damp, dark habitats. dangerous and unpredictable foes that infest the pipes below Hollowness capital. Even when it seems you'll kill them, you need to stay on guard. Fluke Munga. Aged fluke grown fat on the rich refuse found in the pipes below the capital. Fluke Marm, an insatiable breeder, has populated the waterways with its kind. Its insides double as a nest for young fluke fays. The desire to breed, to leave behind a memory of ourselves in the shape of a child. It seems to be etched deep into the heart of every living creature. I too have felt the pull of the base instinct. Interesting. Shardmite. Oh, okay, so it's interesting how we're just now getting into the crystal area. Shardmite feeds on crystal dust and uses crystallized spines to protect itself from danger. I don't find this creature particularly notable or interesting. It should learn to fly, or breathe flames, or sing hauntingly. Anything to justify its existence. Glimback. Slow, hardy creature. The crystals that grow on its back provide extra protection from foes above. Large and well protected, but slow and docile. The bugs of Hollowness used to force these creatures to carry around their carts and machines. Okay. Crystal Hunter. Fires shards of fast-growing crystal at intruders. These were tough enemies. Make their homes all the way up at the top of the world. Do they use the crystals willingly as weapons, or are they merely hosts of the crystal's parasites? Interesting. Okay. So we got the crystals, we got the soul, and we got the acid, or the corrosive liquid. Crystal Crawler. Discharges searing beams of light from the crystals on its back as it crawls around, seemingly unaware. These creatures look weak, but sometimes burning pillars of heat will burst out from the crystal they carry on their backs. Be wary and time your stripes well. Husk Miner. Remains of a bug drawn to the crystal peak for its precious crystal. Its claw pick now doubles as a fierce weapon. I remember encountering one that we could talk to, and unfortunately, it truly became a husk. The bugs of Hollowness lusted after the strangest things in life. They would dig furtively through the dirt for stone, or, and in particular, the crystals that grow at the top of the world. Crystallized Husk. Remains of a bug who died amongst the crystals, animated by a strange force. It attacks by firing beams of light from its crystallized arms. And then the Crystal Guardian. Heavy-set miner of the Crystal Peak, overcome by crystal growth, can discharge blazing beams of light from its crystallized limbs. Furious Vengefly. Getting into the infected Forgotten Crossroads. Vengefly, whose body has been distorted by continuous infection. Highly aggressive. It makes me wonder if there's a route where the infection just never happens? Or at least the infection in Forgotten Crossroads never happens. Curious. The infection that passes from creature to creature grants strength and courage, but it also seems to enslave the will. Would you make such a bargain? Volatile Gruzzer. Gruzzer sold with infection and primed to burst. Violent Husk. Maddened by massive infection, charges at enemies with no thought for its own preservation. The bugs of Hollowness were twisted out of shape by that ancient sickness. First they fell into deep slumber, then they awoke with broken minds, and then their bodies started to deform. Slobbering Husk. The body of a bug completely consumed by infection, spits corrosive liquid. The infection that swept through the Hollowness so long ago, they say that the harder you struggle against it, the more it consumed you. Dirt Carver. Oh, we're getting into Deep Nest. Swarming predator of the Deep Nest burrows through the ground and bursts out to surprise prey. Springy and vicious, these hunters will try to overwhelm you with numbers in the dark, tight, twisting caverns they carve out through the ground. Always be on your guard. Carver Hatcher. A flying creature that fires out dirt carvers from its body when potential prey comes close. Garpede. This is another husk we happened to stumble on, and we were able to get its entry from. Giant burrower covered in thick shell plates tirelessly travels the tunnels at Deep Nest. Monstrously strong, they shrug off any attacks you make on their thickly armored bodies. Luckily, if you simply avoid their paths, they'll leave you alone. Corpse Creeper. Ugh. Oh yeah, these things. Parasitic beast that controls the body of its host after the host's death. The beasts of this land have found plenty of ingenious hiding places, but none so clever as the body of another creature. If you happen on such a beast, rejoice! You've hunted 2 creatures at once. Deepling. An infant of the deep nest scuttles about in the darkness, learning the layout of its home. The deep nest is a dangerous place to hunt, but rewarding. Keep an eye out for weaker creatures you can pick off and eat. Keep your strength and up in the darkness. Deep Hunter. Crawls along walls and roofs, spitting burning venom at anything that passes by. They can be hard to spot as they flitter in and out of the darkness. Watch out for their glowing eyes. Little Weaver. Nimble spider that traverses its domain on thin strands of web. Often waits in ambush. They can appear from the darkness at any moment. They seem to fly through the air, dancing on invisible strings as they silently stalk prey. These were very hard to fight. Stalking Devout. Worshippers of Hera the Beast. Shield themselves with hard-plated foreclaws, then lash out suddenly to cut down prey. Powerful, well-armored, and fast. These are no mere beasts. Study their movements and watch carefully for an opening. Shadow Creeper. Found only in deep, dark places, has never been observed to eat or drink anything. This little creeper is weak and poses no threat, but something about it still unsettles me. The way it moves and the noises it makes. Strange, somehow. Lesser Malek. Attacks by spitting acid and slashing with foreclaws. If you try to keep your distance, it will spit sticky, burning globs of vile stomach juice. Move in and quickly and strike decisively. And then the Malerk. A large, immobile creature wildly spits venom when intruders pass by. And then the Brooding Malek. Ferocious but extremely social creature. Becomes aggressive if not able to mingle with its own kind. Interesting. I hear the beast crying out sometimes as I prowl the caverns, although I've never actually laid eyes on it. Who or what is it calling for? As far as I can tell, its voice is never answered. Yeah, the lonely one. Light Seed. A single-celled organism, completely infected, scurries about simple-mindedly. Huh. Interesting. Infected Balloon. Single cell of infection. Has a simple mind and can float using internal gases. And then the Broken Vessel. Shattered corpse reanimated by infected parasites. So this was a foreshadow for what we were fighting in Hollow Knight. The shape of the creature, I have seen something like it before. More than once, perhaps. It looks a little like the bugs of Hollowness, but not quite the same. Where do these empty little wanderers come from? Spiny Husk. Overgrown with vegetation, it attacks by firing sharp spines from its bodies. The spines they fire seem to be mildly poisonous. Don't use them to clean between your fangs after eating. Loodle. Inhabits the wilds beside the Queen's Garden. Not aggressive in nature, but its wild, bouncing behavior can be dangerous. It seems like their energy is limitless. Do they ever stop to sleep, or eat, or love? Huh, interesting how they put love in here. The Mantis Petra lurks amongst foliage and attacks by flinging wild sights from a distance. They will harass you from afar, so get close and strike quickly. Their bodies are brittle and will easily fall to your nail. So the Mantis have their own clan, right? And we found more of their kind in Queen's Garden. So that makes me think that maybe they were very closely linked to the Queen, the Mantis clan. Huh. Interesting. The Mantis Traitor. Traitor, you say? Once a member of the Mantis tribe. Oh. now cast out and driven mad by infection. So there's several ways that this can be interpreted. Either the mantises were closely linked and were in line with the queen, or they were against the queen. And this one aligned itself with the queen? I'm not sure. Either way, very curious. If I defeated 6 more of them, maybe I get more information. 0. Another fine fight. Lingering dream of a fallen warrior executed for crimes against the king. Interesting. A life defined by tragedy and triumph, a death marred by sorrow and regret, a spirit burdened by sins and memories. Better to wander the world than be cursed with glory. Interesting. Gorb, lingering dream of a fallen warrior, a mysterious life form that claimed to contain all of the world's knowledge inside of its distended brain. I am Gorb. Marmu, lingering dream of a fallen warrior, protector of the Queen's garden. If you believe in something as hard as you can, with your eyes shut tight, eventually it will come true. No Eyes, lingering dream of a fallen warrior, disappeared during the plague. They're coming. What's inside of you? Strip it out. Huh. Okay. And Hornet! So we have another fight with Hornet at some point, probably in the next area. That we'll probably get to in the next playthrough. Skilled protector of Hallownest ruins, wields a needle and thread. Huh. And Hollow Knight, fully grown vessel carrying the Plex heart within its body. And the person we will end up replacing. The old king of Hallownest. He must have been desperate to save his crumbling little world. The sacrifices he imposed on others, all for nothing. And finally, the Shade, a most mysterious being, echo of a previous life, defeated to retake its power and become a whole. Each of us leaves an imprint of something when we die, a stain on the world. I don't know how much longer this kingdom can bear the weight of so many past lives. And yeah, that should do it. That's all the entries so far. And then here are all the places we've been. We'll get to this. And I think what I'll do for the next playthrough is that we're gonna probably start on the same file, and we'll probably start by exploring more deepness and probably finding the pass, the tram pass that's I think was like right here. I'll do a little bit of research just to like ensure that I'm able to find my way in this area, because I think this area holds a lot of stuff that we will need to get access to other areas in the game. At least I think. But yeah, and then here are once again all the stuff that we've gathered. All the charms. Yeah. That's it for this Let's Play until much later in the future. But yeah, once again, thank you so much for watching. Hope you had a good one, and I hope to see you all in the next Let's Play. Goodbye.